So, hi all. I have another topic for you. I hope I can stay on topic. Uh, I bought this book 20 years ago, and it talked about a biblical view of the zodiac. And I read it 20 years ago, thought it was really interesting, and put it down and forgot about it. I picked it up the other day because when I go out at night and look up the stars, and we'd just gone through Psalms. The heavens declare the glory of God. I mean, the stars are amazing. And it's interesting that the same stars that are out there now have been with us for all of recorded human history. And I also find it very interesting that every civilization around the world takes a group of stars and comes up with the same type of images. This is a picture of the sky. And you can see some of the, you're familiar with the zodiac, right? Hey, what's your sign? Are you Capricorn? Are you Aquarius? Are you Sagittarius? Are you Scorpio, Libra, Leo? All those signs. I mean, we've all heard of them, right? But how many of us know the origin? How many of us know that it's been distorted for false uses? First of all, I'm not promoting astrology here, that the stars or the planets or the moon have some power over us. God expressly prohibits that in his law in the Old Testament. He says astrologers should, or like witchcraft and witches should be put to death because there's a demon aspect to it. Just to be blunt, very blunt. Astrology really started in Genesis 10 or 11, where it's the Tower of Babel. A guy named Nimrod, and they built this tower, and they called it the Tower of Babel, right? If you haven't read the story, read it. Open the Bible, read it. Why did they build this tower? They were trying to reach the heavens, right? So was it a tall tower? Well, it may have been tall, but the real reason is there was already, this is after Noah, right? So Noah repopulated the earth. Some of his descendants went to the east, some south, some northwest, some stayed in the area. They carried their traditions with them. And that's why some of them stayed true to God, some of them departed from the faith. But they all have that story of the flood, and that's why there's a story of the flood in every language. But what came back was worshiping of the stars. And so that Tower of Babel might have been a ziggurat. There's remains in that area of the world today that suggest it was that. It was in the plains of Shinar in Babylon. It's a geological site at this point. No one actually lives there, and that was prophesied that it would be destroyed eventually, and eventually it was. That's a whole nother story. But the signs of the stars. So, people got deceived into thinking that the signs in the stars really had to do with other characters, other meanings. So I'm just going to go through a couple of them. One, we've all heard of Virgo, right? The Virgin. So let's see here. Right above my finger. You kind of see her there. She has something in each hand. Where I'm going to go with this is that every sign in the zodiac, I think it's called Mazaroth in the Jewish language, God put the whole story of the Bible in the stars ahead of time. And somehow, despite the Big Bang, and the expanding universe, which some of the recent telescope pictures have all those astronomers in a tizzy because they can't explain things now. Like an old universe doesn't make sense, but that's another topic. God put these stars in the signs because they're there for us. They tell the story that's laid out in the Bible. And if you start at the Virgo and work your way around to Leo, there's the story of Jesus' birth. There's the story of his first coming in the birth. There's the story of him sacrificing himself to save us. There are references to lots of Old Testament scripture. I'll give you an example. In that Virgo, in her right hand, she's carrying a branch, and in multiple places in the Old Testament, when they're prophesying about the Messiah, he's called the branch. Look it up. On the other hand, we have the seed, and it's the seed of the woman. Genesis 3, I think it's 3:15. It says the seed of the woman will destroy the seed of the serpent, although the seed of the serpent will bruise his heel, he will crush the serpent's head ultimately. So Satan knows his ultimate destination. Scorpio, that represents evil. There's lots of snakes up there too. That represents evil, and there's lots of struggles. Libra is the scales, right? On one side we have sin, but on the other side we have those who pay for the sin. So the scales get put in our favor thanks to Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. Let's skip around to the end. Leo. Everybody thinks of Jesus as the, if you're a Christian, you probably relate more to Jesus as the sacrificial lamb. He was born in Bethlehem, which is where the sheep were raised for sacrifice at the temple. But the end of this story is Jesus as the lion. And he's called, Jesus is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So that story of the lion has been up there in the stars since the world and universe were created. And all around the world, everybody has the same interpretation of these. If you look up in the sky, there's no way most of us would. There's no way if you took 10 people would come up with any of these pictures being the same. But yet every culture has the same depiction of how these stars come together to form these pictures. That's not a coincidence. That's by design. And it was only through that deception of Satan in the book of Genesis that's been covered over. And there's a lie that people have accepted, right? They don't even know it. And I guess that really points to the larger truth. We need to, especially today with the internet, if a lie is preached over and over and over again, it becomes the truth. It gets hard to know what the truth is. Well, I find the Bible to be true. So that's where I put my trust. I hope you do too.